sir. All right.
Wait, it for me.
Okay, I'm not sure what you're saying. All right, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make a wizard hat for this bunny. I intend to make a cloak. My idea is to turn her into a wizard. I'm even going to put glasses on her. I'll have to do some adjustments for the glasses to make them look right.
Papa?
Yes, sir? Yeah?
What?
Well, you got to find the leg. Maybe in the box of the others. So we're going to start with this material. I'm not sure what's going to make the best hat, but I like the idea of it being stars and blue. I have another material, a galaxy material, but it might be a little bit too similar to her body. So I'm not sure what's going to wind up working best. I may have to do 2 different attempts at it, but we're going to start off with what I think looks like a very magical kind of pattern here. So I'm going to make this real simple, real quick. My intention is to kind of basically build it on the fly. I haven't made a hat for a wizard this size, and I'm suddenly realizing I'm out of pencil. Found it? Cool. If you bring it over here, I'll put it back together for you. All right. I'm going to do a few things here. First off, it is spring break, so my son is home.
Papa, look.
Yes, sir. Couch. Is that the right one?
Couch.
Couch? It was under the couch?
The couch.
Yeah, I may have to put some Legos back together for him as we're doing this. But let's kind of get things rolling here. All right. So this is my head. I want to make the hat a little bit wide. I think it'd be a little bit cuter the wider it gets. So let's go ahead and say about here. So the brim will be pretty wide. I'm not sure that this piece of paper is going to be enough. So let's go ahead and see if I can go ahead and round it out. If I made it both the same width, there we go. Now I have made a wizard hat before. The thing about it is that I'm not sure how to make the cone so it looks particularly good. So we're going to try a few different things, see kind of how it lands. Smasher.
Look, Papa, look.
Yeah, a raptor.
Yes, I can hear.
Yeah. If you find all the parts to it, I'll try and put it back together for you, buddy.
Yeah, I did.
You get it?
Yeah, I did it.
You did it? Oh, good job. All right, so I'm gonna round this out. I know it kind of seems a little bit odd. I haven't made too many brand new things live. I'm trying to find out what is interesting and what isn't. And in this case, just like last night, I made a derpy Pokemon. I'm essentially just kind of rolling with it to see how it kind of feels as I go. I'm gonna lose about 1/4 of an inch on the edge. So for this, let's see if that's a good amount, because then I can put the ears up through it. I can cut out a spot for those. That'll be good. I think that that's a good width. So we'll start here. My son being home makes this a little bit of a different type of adventure because he's going to want attention, he's going to want the help, and I will definitely be helping him when he needs it. So let's start off with this for the brim of my hat. Why are you upset? What? Ankylosaur?
Raptor.
And your raptor?
And turtle.
Oh, no, don't bring those all over here, please. Maybe if you bring me a table or something I could use?
Look. And turtle.
All right, so here's the material I'm using. I like this kind of star pattern on here. It makes for a very magical kind of look to it. I do have some galaxy print, but as you can see, she has a lot of galaxy on her. If I put too much galaxy on it at the wrong colors, I think it'll just look a little bit too much of the same. Now the thing that I'm going to be doing is I plan to make a cloak for her. So I'm going to go ahead and start with making a couple hats just to see how they land. Worst case scenario, she's got another outfit I can use.
Help me, Papa.
Baby, I can't right now. I need about an hour. And if you bring me anything, I will help you put it back together. But you have to do the looking. You've got to find what it is you're looking for, okay? Did you find it? More raptor parts? You want to bring them all over here? All right. Let's see. We're going to start off with the brim of the hat. And I figure if I make the brim just the right size, I can make any kind of adjustments that I need for the cone of the hat. So let's kind of get that cutting out of the way. I have to make two sides. Now, for everything I'm making, I have an underside and a top side. I don't have a whole lot of different material colors that are in the blue range that I could use. So I'm going to just go ahead and use the star on both sides, I think. I might do another quick check here in a minute to see, but here is what my rim is going to look like. This is what material I'm using for the whole thing. Okay, let's see. And, oh, nope, this is a hand. So this is going to go, oh, you got the head and the hand mixed up, buddy.
Oh,
it's okay. So here we go.
I get it.
And
I get it.
there you go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. 1 second, please. 1 second. I got a couple pieces coming apart here. This is one of the least hold together ones. There you go.
I get up.
Well, you'll have to find other pieces. If you find more pieces, we might be able to make it look a little bit better as we go, buddy.
Yes.
All right, all right. So let's go ahead. We're making this hat real quick. Hopefully real quick. The truth is that I know that a lot of things take a little bit longer than I anticipate, which is always aggravating in its own little way. But the idea seems pretty simple. If I make this pretty quickly, then I can make a plan for the rest. See? That's going to be about the side. Yeah, pterodactyl leg.
I get it.
You want to get it? Okay. All right, so here's one side. I got to make a mirror version. And since it's basically just a circle, you got it. Good job, buddy. All right, so make a second circle. What I did was just cut it out in some graph paper so I wouldn't have to worry about guessing when I go from one to the other. If I do just about anything, I try to make at least a simple pattern. And that is literally for this reason. If I wind up messing up something, then I can adjust my paper pattern. I can draw a new one. I can cut it out. But I don't have to worry about, oh, was that as close to the same size as I want it to be? Because everything will be kind of lined up. I should be using a colored pencil on this kind of material because then I won't have to worry about the ink, but I am not too worried at this exact moment. I figure if I kind of get this cut out, it will cover up anything that I'm going to be having ink on, so that's going to be good anyways. Just kind of got to cut fast here. My son's going to run out of patience with me, and he's going to want way more attention, which is totally okay. So I'm working as fast as I can to kind of get this wizard bunny hat put together. I want to make a cloak. I want to make a whole outfit for her. But I am trying to be reasonable. When I made the bunny itself, it took me 2 days worth of work on the bunny on live to find out how long it was going to take. Since I'd only made the bunny a couple times, I really was just having to guess as I went. So here's my bunny. She's going to wind up having a wizard outfit. Even if I have to make it over the course of like a week. One of the things I've started doing is I started deciding that I don't just want to work for my orders. Don't get me wrong, I love making customs and commissions and stuff like that. And I make a bunch of bunnies right now. Bunnies and little mice. Well, I've realized that I have not been making stuff that I really super want to make that I haven't made. And that takes its own time. So I'm kind of using my live time to do that kind of stuff. Figured it'd be a lot more fun to just kind of play around while somebody's here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew this all the way through. A lot of times when I am sewing a hat, I don't cut a middle part because that's how I'm going to inside it out. What I'm going to do here is just sew the outer edge. Yeah, you found the raptor head?
Look.
Okay, 1 second, baby. Okay, let me put this down. All right, what do you... Oh! Okay, this is going to be a pretty quick stitch. I'm just going to go all the way around. I'm probably going to have to go back and fix a couple spots because I did not line them up perfectly. That is totally okay. I don't even need it to be perfectly round because I figure the brim of the hat's going to have a little bit of personality to it. Yes, sir, what are you yelling at me for? The head. Yeah, do you want me to put it together for you? All right, let me have it. All right, let's put your raptor head back together. All right, so I think we're missing a piece, buddy. We need one more little square. Maybe I can use this piece to do this. This is going to take just a minute. Ah! These Legos are not the best Legos. I don't know what brand they are, but they are very hard to get apart sometimes. All right, this is going to take a minute. I hate it now. Thank you, baby.
Look. This one?
Come on.
Papa, look.
Yes, baby.
Look.
I see. You got a heart on my hat. I don't want to use a knife or anything. Look out, buddy. Oof.
Heart.
Yeah, you put a heart on top of my sewing machine.
I can't move.
There we go.
Can't move. Can't move.
Can't move?
Yeah.
All right, baby. There's a whole lot of things happening here. No, please put that back. I don't want you to hurt yourself on it.
Why?
Because I like you and I don't want you to get hurt. Put another piece here. I'm not sure this is going to look like a raptor when I'm done, but it's going to look close enough where I think he'll recognize it. All right, buddy, here you go. Yep, close enough to a raptor. There you go. All right, let me go ahead and get back to sewing my hat. I'm not super sorry about the interruption, but at the same time, that's just kind of how it works. Working at home is its own process. And of course, I'm not going to mind helping my son when I can. He's going to want a lot of attention because he's not usually home at this time. And he's not usually home when I'm talking so much / working on anything. So let's get back to what I'm doing here. I am starting off by making a wizard hat for my Busty Bunny. My intention is to turn her into a full-on wizard. I even have glasses. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to make some adjustments to these glasses to make them a little bit smaller. Probably sew them on by having another loop. Let's get that moved over. All right, do I got stitches all the way across on both sides? It looks like I do. I'm going to go ahead and cut just a slit in the middle. Now, let's see. Do I want it in the middle? I think that would be good. So I'll put it, I'll pretty much center it, but slightly off. The tail. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut just a little bit here to get this open so that I can inside it out. Yeah, you found the tail for it?
You're right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that here?
All right, I'm not going to cut the circle because I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I don't know how I'm going to circle it. And it's just safer to leave a little bit of leeway in case I wind up having to make some changes here. So let's go ahead and get this insided out and we'll see what needs to be done next. I have a feeling that since I'm going to be putting the ears through, that I'm going to have to make some extra cuts before I even make the top of the hat. I'm not sure what the cone of the hat is called. Does anybody happen to know that off the top of their head? It's something I would kind of search online for, but I just don't know yet. All right, so here's my brim. See, it goes here. That should make a nice little shape. Now, I know roughly where I'm going to want the ears to go. If I put the ears right about here and here, I can poke them up and in. So let's go ahead and do just a couple little holes right here. I got to make sure it goes all the way through because it's obviously got to go through both halves. So very small cut. My thinking is what I'm going to do is make an oval shape. Then I'll tuck all of it around and then do a stitch around as well. Let's see how this looks. Is that a big enough cut? No, I need to cut it just a little bit wider. If you can't hear, Zootopia is playing in the background, the end of Zootopia 2. Hopefully that doesn't interfere with anything. It doesn't get me dinged or anything like that. All right. Now, if I have the hat like that. Do another one here. Cut all the way through. And so when I make a new pattern, I go through a whole learning curve process. I use extra material, so I'm not using my nice material. I have all these extra steps, all these failed attempts that add up to be something that works. So doing it live, sometimes I'm using the actual material, and there's a whole problem with that, is that if I make a mistake, I'm limited on how much of it I have left. So I have to be a little bit careful as I go. So if I have the brim of the hat right about here, I think it needs to go a little bit wider because the hat's pulling it down, or the ears are pulling it down. So let's go ahead and make this ear hole a little bit wider out. The holes are probably going to be much wider once I get to that point. And I'm probably going to put a little bit of fluff inside the brim of the hat so that I can give it a little bit of shape. Let's see what it looks like with the glasses on, just in case. So I'll probably have to make the glasses a little bit smaller. But that kind of seems like it's heading in the direction that I want it to head in. So it's kind of going there. I'll make the rims a little bit smaller when I make the final plan for it. Probably add some safety eyes in there as well. But for the most part, I think that covers a lot of what I'm aiming for. Now, what I probably could have done is just cut the ear holes and not cut the center hole. So the hat would just be sewn on and centered instead of being actually open in the middle. But that's okay. We're kind of learning as we go. And I can always just sew that back up with another piece of material. So I've got my ear holes set here. What I'm going to go ahead and do is, let's see, do I want to make, I think the slits will be good. Instead of making an oval shape and sewing all the way around, what I'm going to try and do is fold in. Let's see, let's see, this is going to take some extra effort. If I were to be doing just a normal design, I probably would have sewn here. Let's see, maybe I can do a quick tuck in. Let's give this a little bit of shape. Neither of these are perfectly straight, so my entire intention is to make sure I get this sewn in. Let's try. I'll use some pins. And I'm going to go ahead and tuck these in on the inside. Just a little bit of a fold on each one. Looks like that's going to cause a whole lot of creases. So if I fold it like this, I should be able to do both and just kind of get them tucked in while just sewing a straight line to finish it off. You want to pick something? Yeah. Do you know what you want to watch? No YouTube. No YouTube. Because it doesn't give you the attention span that it needs to have. It's all this short, real quick stuff, and I can't focus on that while I'm doing a live. Well, unfortunately, I'm not able to do those two things at the same time. This is already giving me some issues here. I'm trying to find the best way to fold this in so that I can just do a very simple stitch. Unfortunately, this is not something I'm used to doing, so what winds up happening is I'm trying to see if there is maybe a route that I can fold this in where it'll be nice and tight without creating another fold in the hat itself, which is what I'm really trying to avoid. I want it to make it look so it looks kind of nice, but at the same time covers everything I need. And it's seeming like what I'm eventually going to have to do is make a whole different design for the hat itself. So instead of stressing it in the overall, I'm going to go ahead and do a fold all the way across. Now this won't look perfect in the end. I'm going to have to make another hat, but this way I'll at least have gotten some of the experimentation out of the way and I can see what's going to happen with it. And then when I do the next one, I can actually see, I can make some changes so that it sets a little bit better, a little bit nicer. I might even be able to make basically what is a button stitch You know, when you look at how your buttons are put together and it's just a zigzag of material. Do I have a bird? I have not made a bird yet. Oh, yes. Actually, I see what you're saying. Yes, there is a bird in the background that you might be occasionally hearing squawk. That's funny. I almost did not realize what you were asking me there. All right. So once again, I am trying to make a wizard hat for my bunny. Any favorite sewing hack? Honestly, my only sewing hack that I have is just run with it. Not be afraid of failing. I know it's not a great hack, but it lets me do pretty much anything that I want to do, even if it takes a few tries. So I guess to that extent, I would say start off by using some extra material. Like if you have a sheet that you don't use anymore, I say start with that. You can clearly see I am starting with the material I actually want to use. And that might not be the best idea, but we're rolling with it anyways. All right, I'm going to do a stitch across the edge here. Just a zigzag stitch that is really close to what you would see if you were making a button. A buttonhole, sorry, not a button. Just got to make it nice and sturdy. And kind of run this all the way to the edge. And then I'm going to do a few more back stitches and start back over on the other side coming in. I'm going to have to go over this a couple times. It sucks that when working on this live, I don't exactly have a perfect plan. But also, it just means that you get to see how it kind of goes whenever I am messing up over and over and over again. So that if you decide that you want to try some stuff, maybe you don't make the same mistakes as me. What do you want to watch, Vance? Steve and Maggie. I can try and find some Steve and Maggie for you. I don't know which apps we have going right now.
Look.
Yeah. Robot Raptor.
Yes, me too, something.
Oops.
Hurt?
Nope, not hurt.
Why?
Why am I not hurt? Because I got lucky and I didn't catch myself with a needle. All right, let's see. This is not going to look perfect. I can clean this up by going over it again later. But at the same time, I can also change the design whenever I do a different one later. So that's not going to be a hard process, just a few extra steps.
What?
All right, cut my fabric out. Yes, one moment, please. Hey, please. Yes, sir, what do you got?
Robot.
Yes, robot dinosaur. You want to show the people your robot dinosaur? Do I need to put your tail back on? So what you can see here is what I'm going for is basically... Stop yelling. You can talk it in normal voice, please. That's still a little bit loud. So you got the tail on here. These guys are actually kind of fun. All right, so what I'm essentially doing is what is a buttonhole on here? Yeah, you're going to show the raptor? Okay. I'm going to do that on both sides, and I'll go back over it to kind of clean it up a little bit, maybe later. Yes, sir, Steve and Maggie. All right. Yes, sir, thank you. All right, look out. I know, baby. It's going to take just a few moments, and you're going to have to pick one. Yes, we're going to YouTube. Yes, we're going to watch Steve and Maggie on YouTube, but we're going to find some longer episodes. I'm still trying to figure out how to use my machine and doing heavy projects. Don't worry about starting with heavy projects. Do something light. And it'll just be so much easier to just keep doing a whole bunch of small things, and then one day you're like, oh, I can make this a little bit bigger, and then do the same thing over and over again. There's no reason to start off. I started off small and kept going small. Like if you've looked at the projects that I do, I make my tiny mice, and I love to make the tiny mice and the tiny bunnies. Get a skirt. Okay, you know, the truth of the matter is there are lots of YouTube videos out there that show stuff like that, and I know this because I went to look for one not too long ago. But if you just start off with a basic shape that you want, you could take your scrap material and just make your own pattern. Just kind of completely start from scratch. I mean, look what I'm doing with this hat. None of this is going to be perfect. You make it with a super cheap material, and then what will happen is you'll learn a lot of tricks from that, and you can make some adjustments to it before you make it on the good material. Yeah, I got to find Steve and Maggie for my son. Let's see. It is not a quick search. Steve and Maggie. There we go. All right, buddy. You got to pick a long one, though. How about this one? It's got a lot on it. We're going to watch this one, okay? The dinosaur and the skeleton. Yep, we're watching that one. You're not picking quick enough. I apologize for making you pick quickly, buddy. But unfortunately, while I'm trying to do two different things, it is very hard to take that time. All right, what were you saying? Yeah, I'm gifting the first 5 people that don't listen to that person. I've been doing a circle skirt with sheets, but it wasn't thick enough, so I had to add another layer. That makes sense. On top of everything else, when you're making clothes stuff, I have noticed that nothing looks like it's supposed to look anyways. You're trying to make everything rounded. Oh, come on. And my needle's stuck. There we go. There we go. So I've tried to make a few things. Like I tried to make a shirt. I've tried to make vests. I haven't followed anybody else's patterns, so I'm really super not sure what kind of steps I'm missing. But I just keep messing up and having to start over and over and over again. But to tell the truth, that's how it is when I make a plush too. I made this bunny a good 10 times just to get the shape of the face. I wanted a rounded shape, and everything else I was doing was having these little corners and edges, and it just did not look right. Yep, wizard hat time. I just gotta hopefully be a little bit successful, even if it's just slowly. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm making essentially buttonholes where the ears are going to go in. I know that I'm going to have a lot of material that looks wrong. For example, I've got these edges where I folded it over, and I definitely don't like that. So what's going to wind up happening is I'm going to make some adjustments. I'm going to figure out what I want to do better next time. As long as it looks good enough for me to be able to tell if it's going to work, that's going to be a successful attempt. Oops, don't want to lose my thread here. Tuck that back in. And here we go. And once again. Now basically just like I said before, I'm doing a button stitch of some sort. And I'm going to use that as my basis. There's a very high possibility that when I actually put this together the final time, I'm going to use a very different process. But this is going to be enough for me to make a hat, put it on her, and see how it looks. And cut away a few things. The house is a little extra noisy. I'm expecting the dog to start barking at any moment. It kind of feels very overstimulating. Anyone who's a parent probably knows exactly what I'm talking about. You're trying to do one thing, anything, and your baby is in need of attention, and it's totally fair because they're just little kids and they need all the attention they can get. But then they're playing with a toy and everything else gets louder and louder and louder. Okay, so apparently that didn't start like I wanted it to. There we go. Steve and Maggie on YouTube is not going to be quiet either. And I think that will work enough for a test. Give it a little bit of shape maybe. Looks like I made it too far apart. I tried to bring it in here. Let's see if I can slide that one over. Nope, that's not going to slide over enough. So we're going to have an oddly shaped hat. At least he's not screaming. That's true. And you don't have to. Yes, also true. If he was screaming, we'd have a conversation about it, but we'll get there. All right, so with the hat, put some glasses on her. This is going to take a lot of extra steps. I'm not sure where it's going to land in the end, but this is going to be a whole process. In the end, he's probably going to wind up wanting this, but I've already got someone interested in a bunny, in a busty bunny. He just likes the plushes. And yesterday I made my own version of a goofy Pikachu. Yeah, what's wrong, baby? All right, we'll bring it over here and I'll fix it. Yesterday live, I made a goofy Pikachu. And it's not done yet. I'm still going to add arms and cheeks. But he just kept coming over here. He really wanted this for the longest time. All right, buddy. Let's see if we can get your head back on here.
Okay.
Cuckoo. Oh, no. The whole thing came off. All right. One moment. Almost there. These little toys are actually a lot of fun. They are noisy and they don't shut up, but they're still pretty fun. Am I doing this back? Nope, there we go. Here's the head. Here's the arms. There you go, buddy. Here you go. All right, back to the bunny hat. There's going to be a lot of changes I'm going to have to make. I'm going to have to stop making things out of the actual material the first time because there's a lot of problems that are already arising from this. For example, the ears are too close together, so they're pulling in on each other, which is pulling the shape of the hat around. And in addition to that, I've got the fact that the center is going to wind up being super small now. It's not going to look horribly bad. It's just not going to look quite like I anticipated. I have a 7 and a 9-year-old, and it's always a battle of mine. I've got a almost 5-year-old. I'm lucky with a lot of things that he does and doesn't do, but it's still the same thing. You know, there's still always the help me, pay attention to me, love me, Papa. And I do definitely want to make sure that he knows that we're paying attention to him. All right, so it looks like what I can do is give this just a little bit of a roll. Let's start off right about here. And I think that that'll be good. I can always make it a little bit smaller if I need to. Once I sew it together, I'm just going to right side it out and I'll try again. Now, I'm going to go ahead and make this my spot. I'm going to make it a little bit tall. And I'm going to have the curve at the back. Now, I don't think this hat's going to go super high. I've got it drawn up pretty high because I can always cut it down, but I think it's actually going to end up being right around here. I'm going to go ahead and use this same material, even though I was just saying that I want to start using a scrap material because I've already started it. I might as well finish it with it. I'm going to lose material no matter what I do, but at least this way in the end, I can see if the star hat looks good. See, it was funny yesterday. My daughter was, I don't want to play with boys' Legos. I want, what you got to find pink Legos then, don't you? I think that there are like pink Lego sets specifically for that. That doesn't make it easy because it's not like it's something you have if you don't already have it. All right, let's see if I can get this hat together real quick. I feel like a lot of what I'm doing is super not entertaining, and I'm aware of that. So that makes it harder for me because I don't know how to adjust accordingly. But I am doing my best to kind of do several different things at once as fast as I can so that it doesn't seem too horribly boring. No, she was mad because her brother mixed her... Oh, gotcha. So it wasn't just that you didn't have them. It was that you had to dig them out and separate them, basically. That's definitely more convenient than not having what they want, but definitely not easy at all. When he decides he wants to get picky about something he's playing with, I've got piles of dinosaurs and piles of magnet tiles, and I've got to figure out what it is he's saying. because sometimes he doesn't know the right word and he gets really aggravated by it. All right, let's go ahead and sew this. Set my needle on the side here. Get over here. Oh, on my pencil, on my chopstick. There we go. I've got just enough of everything in my way. I'm hitting my lights. I'm hitting my sewing machine. Everything is just slightly a hassle right now. Part of this is because I'm not trying to be on here for more than an hour. I don't want him to have to entertain himself for too long and get too bored. Back stitch a bit. Cut off some of my excess. All right, let's get this inside out, see how this is going to look. I have a feeling that this hat is going to look completely wrong. I've made little witch hats for some of my miniature ghosts, and I thought that they turned out looking really great. And each one looks a little bit different in shape because sometimes it curves the edge and sometimes the brim pops up on one side, or I pin it up with a button. I have a feeling that I'm not going to like the way that this hat looks. I appreciate that. Thank you ever so much, Laura Dooley. All right, here we go. Let's see. So this is a very tiny little brim. It does have a curve to it. So we're going to see how that kind of lands, but I have a feeling it's just going to look a little bit awkward, but more, for some reason, it just looks so funny to me. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and roll in the inside and pin it as I go. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead. I've got a center hole cut. That's how I insided out the material to begin with. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and stuff it inside my tiny little hole. It's not going to matter which side is forward, because even if it curves forward, it'll look just as funny as when it's curved backwards. And I think that that's going to wind up being kind of comical with the size of her body. Okay, now I just have to get this to work with me. Now, normally I would use pins, but I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and take some black material, or black thread, I mean. Pull this out here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a little simple running stitch and fold the materials back as I go and stitch it in place with just a simple stitch, something that'll disappear when I actually sew it with the machine, if I'm even able to, because this hole is so small I might not actually be able to use the sewing machine on the inside here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put this towards the front and start folding in. Essentially, I'm folding all the material in on the inside and I'm going to use this running stitch to hold it in place. This is going to be what I would basically be using the pins for. I don't want it to be a permanent stitch, just a quick and simple run, just enough to hold it in place so that when I sew it, it's firmly going to get what I want it to get. And a running stitch compared to like a back stitch would mean if I was back stitching, I would come in and out, and then between each stitch, I would literally go back. So basically making a series of figure eights. Let's see. I've got my brim material and I've got my cone material. I'm trying to make sure that I get them to overlap just a little bit. Don't want to get there. Just enough to hold and fold back. Now, the reason I am not using a series of push pins is because I'd have to pin them out, and then what's going to happen is I'd just be stabbing myself over and over again. Just a whole bunch of pins would just murder my hands. And I am not super interested in bleeding right now. So again, in and out, just in, forward, out. And then I don't even have to pull it tight. I just have to pull it tight enough to make sure that it is level and flat. The brim of my hat has such a small amount of material in it that I have to really hold it down so that my needle goes through, so that my thread will hold it down. And again, I'm trying to make sure I don't stab myself with each one. So as you can see, what's happening is it's kind of forming inside the brim. Now I've got a couple pieces here, like right here, that are coming out. So I'm going to probably do another series of stitches as I go. And the reason is because as I'm sewing this together, I will not really be able to see and or pinch this in place. What will happen is I will miss, parts of this will come unfolded, and I won't get a good stitch along the whole thing. Granted, this is going to just be a test piece, and I'm going to have to make the whole thing over again, but I want to see as much of it as I can correctly as possible. I call that a yes, whenever I have put one of those together, it is essentially nothing but a porcupine. And it hurts, even when I start taking out the needles as I go. The future pins and the back pins, they all decide they just want to tear into me. So doing this is giving me an option that's avoiding a lot of pain. I'm going to go ahead and go just a little bit further because I've got this material right here that I mentioned that is kind of sticking up. Just a little bit of an extra stitch really close to the edge. And let's see, did I get it? Nope, got a little bit further I need to go. Now, if you're kind of curious as to why I don't do this often, it's because it's very time consuming. I used to do nothing but this. This gives me a very perfect stitch or a line to sew, but it takes 2 times as long because I'm essentially sewing and then re-sewing the whole thing. And though that's not a problem when I want to be super perfect with something, if I am making something over and over again, like for example my mice, I do not want to have to do that 3 times for each mouse. Now I can fold this in and get inside the cone of the hat. Let me go ahead and adjust my light. My light bulb went out on my sewing machine and I'm not even sure I can find a light bulb for it anymore. All right, so now I can got to get my pedal to the floor. I have very little room to work here. Simple back stitch. And I'm going to be curving the brim of the hat as I roll it because I am following the inside of my cone. I want to stop on the down. That way I don't have to worry about accidentally sliding out when I move. You can see there's a whole lot of messy material inside there. Well, I think you can see. My hand's kind of super in the way, isn't it? I can see that there's a whole lot of messy material. And I keep hitting my light, which is also aggravating me. Okay. Make sure I finish down. I'm just kind of rolling the brim of my hat along the way so that I can keep the inside of the cone and the part that I'm sewing all right on the edge of the boot. And just a few more stitches. Even this simple little round stitch, it's funny how long it takes to just follow the edge of a cone. All right, little back stitch. Get that up and out of the way. And let's try that one more time, see where it kind of landed at. All right, I'm going to get some of these extra threads out of the way. I'm not even sure where all these extra threads have come from. I think some of them are from my ear holes. All right, so you can see that I missed an entire small section right here. Just kind of missed it when I was sewing together. And you can see where some of the inside actually came. I didn't fold it in. Instead of folding it in, I folded it between. Unfortunately, this is just the way that's going to wind up being. And the reason for that is because I've already accepted that this is going to be a test version and that I'm going to have to do a remake of it later. I will fix the part where I missed the stitches completely. Just going to do a quick little stitch across that. And let's see how if that fixes my little hole. This will be enough for me to see if whether or not the star material will actually look good as the hat. And then I will make adjustments accordingly afterwards. So I may have to stuff the hat. I may have to do all kinds of little things to make it look good. I'm actually going to go ahead and put a little bit of stuffing in the base of this, just enough to hold it up. That way my hat doesn't fall down on me. That just looks so goofy. It's so thin that it looks so goofy. Try clipping your circles before hand basting. I'm not sure what hand basting is. Again, I am all self-taught. So there is a possibility you're saying something very, very technical that I just don't know because of that. Shop have one. So what's going to wind up happening is when I get the final pattern done, I'm probably going to put a little bit of material or a little bit of stuffing in here and sew a rim on it so that it sturdies it up. But for now, this is all just to see how it's going to sit. Do I want to make it smaller? Do I need to make it bigger? A lot of things along those lines. For light, you could look up your local repair shop. Oh, I can check that too. I found the bulb. I took out the bulb. But it says it's like a 12-watt bulb or something like that. So I have to see if I can find one that actually fits that. All right, so let's see if I can get some better lighting on this. Move this light around a little bit. And move my sewing machine out of the way. What do we think? Do we think this material at least looks good? Your running stitch can be considered the batting stitch as pronounced basting. Okay, cool. You said to do basting loose stitch that holds things in place before. Okay, okay, gotcha. Thank you guys. Let's see. You said try clipping your circles before you baste them. So it sounds like you're saying use both a pin and the running stitch. So basically I pin it a little bit as I go and then come back over it again. All right, so here's my busty bunny. I think that this blue material looks good on her. It is a screw-on bulb. In fact, I have it somewhere. Oh, right here. This is the bulb that actually came with it. It looks very much like an old-style Christmas light. But the one that I found at the hobby store was like an LED, and the screw-on was like twice as long. So I'm not sure if that's dangerous or not. And I just haven't done enough research to try and fix it because I've been busy since then. Measure the width of the base in millimeters. I will definitely do that. So what do we think? Do we like this color for it? If I made a cloak for her that kind of hung out in the back, do we think that that would look really good? And then adding probably smaller glasses. Let's go ahead and make these just a little bit smaller. Make sure that they stay as round as I can make them. This is also just a test run for the glasses. Just have to, normally I would kind of tighten them around something. I just don't have anything to tighten them around right now. So then let's go ahead and make the next one a little bit more tight. And try and get them about the same roundness. Okay. Again, what I'm going to wind up doing is making another loop here so that I can sew it on. And I will make this a better round. Unfortunately, doing it by hand, I have the downside of making little kinks in it instead. And what I would do is I would actually just tighten this around like a pole or a dowel rod or something along that lines. Is he holding? It's definitely not holding eggs. She is definitely not holding eggs. I will be putting back legs on her as well. And let's see, what do we think of the glasses? Have them right about there. See if we sew it back. Use my pliers. Maybe I can get a little bit of better shaping done. Okay, a little bit of extra shape in here. And then some glasses. Yes, no, maybe? And then I'll put a safety pin nose on here. I'm going to put just a, not safety pin. Here, let me show you what I'm going to put on here. I'm going to go ahead and put a teeny tiny little pink nose. The glasses, and then I will figure out the eyes as well. Yep, safety nose. And I've got the safety eyes as well. So I think that that's going to be really cute right there. The glasses. And do we like this material for her? Do we like the hat? If I make a cloak for her, like a wizard's cloak coming out the back, do we like this blue with the stars on it? Or should I make one in this material? Now, I'm hesitant to use this material because it looks so similar to her face and body. But I think that that was a good backup. I just personally like the way that this blue looks. I think it'll make a great hat. Oh, you agree? Excellent, Bethany. Thank you so much. I'm glad that, thank you for answering. It's going to be very helpful to kind of get some second opinions. The blue is nice. Awesome. And this isn't that bad. I mean, the ears pull it a little bit. It does change the shape. So maybe I'll make the hat a little bit smaller in the back. But I think that the shape of the hat, the brim, kind of looks a little bit nice. If I figure out how to make the button ends, that should solve that problem a little bit. Yes, those are 885s. She is a bodacious babe. And I think she's going to have fire magic. And I think the glasses will work. But the good news is I don't have to make them permanent until much later. Milk magic? That's hilarious. I love it. Ice cream? Coconut ice cream? Is that what you're trying to tell me? All right, I'm going to go ahead and put a hole in her nose so that I can put that safety eye in. I use my seam ripper because I used to use a knife, and what would happen is it would just tear right through the whole thing. So I can just put just a teeny tiny little hole right there. Fit that right inside. I haven't even stitched her closed yet, so I can fix that right there. I think the nose will look cute, but I do have a black nose and a brown nose, which just sounds funny to say. So I have these noses as well. An awl is best. I actually do have one of those little awls, but I can't seem to get it to work as well. So I'll have to get some practice with it. Some of my aws came with, or one of my sets came with an awl. That looks more like a dog nose, though, I think. So let's not try that one. I have this nose, also looks a little bit too much like a dog nose. So I think the square noses or the triangle noses are going to be the better option. Do we like the pink or do we like... Size and shape matter with Oz. I would not be horribly surprised about that. The one that I got came with these. I don't have it on me, so I can't show it without running off to get it. So using an awl will move the thread without tearing it. I will keep that in mind. That's definitely going to be something I try later. I think pink is a good contrast. I agree, because the brown will disappear. the black will really disappear. And I'm already going to be using black eyes. So I think that this is a good color for it. Get my other ones put away so I don't lose everything. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on figuring out the hat. I might make the cloak separately. Put it all on live at another time. I also back any safety nose eyes with interfacing to reinforce the fibers. I've never thought about that. I've done that when I put horns on there, when I have to cut a circle out and then sew the horn on, much like I did here. I would then put another layer underneath to hold it in place. But I'll keep that in mind in the future. It's definitely something that'll be a little bit more helpful. All right, so basically, here's where we're going to end it today. I did a test with the blue. I think it makes for a great color contrast with the bunny. I've got my busty bunny will be finished. I'll put the back legs and the tail on. You want some coconut ice cream? I don't think we have coconut ice cream, but I will look and see, buddy. I'm almost done with what I'm doing, so then I can get you some ice cream. All right, so we got this concept put together. I will try and make the hat one more time at least, maybe with an extra material so that I don't use up all my star material. Of course, I can go get some more, but I don't have it on hand, so I'm trying to do my best to be frugal with that. Hello there, Ruby. And I think that what I'll do with the cloak is I'll just make a very simple kind of flowing cloak, nothing that hangs out to the front. And her legs, when I put them on, in fact, I've got the legs here. I'm going to go ahead and stuff one of the legs and let you see roughly what it'll look like. Let me get the correct leg. So I've got the feet and the legs. I'm going to go ahead and quickly stuff this up so you can see roughly what the shape of her body will be. When I put it together, I'm going to actually just kind of stitch this on like I normally would, like a head or some arms. This is only the third time I've made this bunny. So I've made some adjustments between 1 and 2 where I sewed a lot of pieces on together. For example, the head. It used to be sewn on but with a ladder stitch, but I really like the way that it changes the shape of it by sewing the actual neck on. So it is one solid piece. I may wind up having to do the same thing with the legs once I get them figured out. I'll put a hole on one side and a hole on the side of her and sew them on using the machine. It will definitely make it more sturdy and it will probably make it a little bit faster, which is a good thing. Depending on how many of these I make, I've learned that if I have to hand stitch a head on every time or a body every time, that just takes up so much time. I used to do these bats. And when I make the bats, a lot of times I will have the head and I used to have the wings, the body, and the head and the ears all sewn on separately. Well, I just kind of adjusted the pattern. So now the wings are part of the body. I still have to do the same thing with the head and the ears, but at least it cuts down a lot of trouble. So she will have legs right here. Gives her nice little thighs. She's going to be super bodacious and curvy. And what I'll do is I'll make a cloak that comes down and around and goes over. You know what? That's funny is I wouldn't name a bunny until each one of the bunnies is done. Literally, I'm sure I can come up with a name for all of them. And I tend to call this a busty bunny. But for each bunny, I like to wait until it's put together because I think that that's when the personality really comes to life on it. Makes a big difference rather than naming it in advance. However, if someone says, hey, I want to name a bunny blank, I would then come up with a theme that matches that name. I like the idea of things kind of having their own lives to them. All right, folks. So this is where I'm going to go ahead and end things for today. Hopefully, before I get on next to work on this bunny, I will have made a final version of the hat. I might keep the thin hat, but I also might make the hat very short. I'm not sure. What's in the middle? This in the middle? Or are you talking about this middle? Yeah, I'm afraid I do have to leave. My son's home for the day. He's a little bit hungry. It's spring break, so I got to make everything just a little bit shorter. He's already came up and needed help with his Legos and definitely had to help him, but I don't want him to be too bored. Who knows what he'll wind up doing if I go through that. These are we'll call them mammary glands. She's meant to be a busty bunny. I will do my best to set this as a scheduled event. So if you follow me, I will do my best to schedule my next lives, specifically schedule the next live with this bunny so we can see how it turns out together, and you guys can give me as much advice as you want. If you have any thoughts, I really hate the way the back of the hat is, so I'm probably going to change the shape of it to fit that way. But the front of the hat, I really do like. So if you have any thoughts, any ideas on things I should change, do feel free to message me. I will also be doing on Mondays, I'm going to try and make my own derpy Pokemon. I'm going to make them live all at once. This took about 2 hours and some change, and I'm still not done. I still have to add arms and rosy cheeks. But next time, I'm probably going to be doing the Gengar because my son has asked for it several times. So basically, if you are interested, follow, and I will try and schedule things and try and do things a little bit more regularly. The idea behind this was showing that you can do something without a pattern. You can make it quick. You don't have to be perfect at it, and you can still have a lot of fun with just a basic idea. So for everyone that's been here, thank you ever so much. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate the information. The basting was helpful information. I like knowing what that's called. I'm going to do a lot of other little things as I go. So feel free to teach me anything you can because I am all self-taught. That's so fantastic to learn. And I think it's important that people know that they can learn on their own as well. All right. That's sad I was here. I'm so sorry, Ruby. If you message me and tell me times that would be good for you, if everybody messages me, I will do my best to set up my next lives for schedules in accordance to what different people will like as well. I will definitely look at a repair shop. I will see if there's one nearby. And if not, I'll have to do some online searches for it. It's definitely something I need to do because it will be helpful. As it is, I'm just having to move my ring light around for it. All right, guys. Thank you ever so much. Remember, follow, message me, tell me anything that you need some help with, some ideas, any requests for future lives, and I will do my very best to do it. All right, you guys have a wonderful day.